Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's so great to have you here again. If you're new, I'm so happy you found this space. And if you've been with me for a while, you already know what this channel is all about, learning to speak English naturally and confidently, just like a native speaker. So today, I'm super excited because we're going to dive into something that's really close to my heart. How to master real English conversations using my personal English phrasebook. Now, before you imagine a boring, heavy book full of grammar rules and long explanations, don't worry. My phrasebook isn't like that at all. It's actually a collection of short, practical expressions and phrases that I've picked up through real-life experiences, from chatting with native speakers, watching movies, traveling, and, honestly, making a few mistakes along the way. You see, when I first started learning English, I knew lots of vocabulary and grammar rules. I could write essays and answer test questions, but when it came to real conversations, I froze. I sounded too formal, too careful, like a robot reading from a textbook. And every time I tried to sound natural, I felt nervous, because I didn't know what real people actually said in everyday situations. Does that sound familiar? That's when I decided to start keeping a phrasebook. Not a traditional one, but my own personal list of real English phrases that I actually heard native speakers use, in cafes, in movies, in online meetings, even in casual small talk. I wrote down anything that sounded natural, friendly, or just cool. Things like, "That's so true," or "No worries, I got you," or "Let's catch up later." These are simple phrases, but they make a huge difference. They helped me connect with people, sound more natural, and most importantly, feel confident speaking English. And that's exactly what I want to share with you today, how you can start doing the same. Because English isn't just about what you say, it's also about how you say it. It's about rhythm, tone, and those little everyday expressions that make your speech sound alive. Now, one thing I really want you to remember is this: speaking English naturally doesn't mean speaking perfectly. Native speakers make mistakes all the time. They pause, they say, and, like, they mix things up. What matters is being clear, confident, and real. That's why I say, don't aim for perfection, aim for connection. When you focus on connection, everything changes. You stop worrying about every little grammar rule, and you start focusing on expressing yourself. You start noticing how people really talk, how they greet each other, how they respond, how they use humor, or how they soften their tone to sound friendly. For example, if someone says, "Hey, what's up?" you don't have to panic and think, "Oh no, what should I say?" You can simply reply, "Not much, just chilling," or "All good, how about you?" Simple, natural, and friendly. That's the kind of English that helps you fit in and feel confident. I know many of you watching this channel come from different countries, with different accents and backgrounds, and that's amazing. English belongs to everyone who speaks it. You don't have to sound like a British or American person to be fluent. You just have to sound like you, comfortable, natural, and confident in your own voice. That's why, through my videos, I always try to make English feel more like a real conversation rather than a classroom lecture. I want you to feel like you're chatting with a friend who understands your struggles and wants to help you express yourself better. So, in this video, we'll start exploring my personal English phrasebook, real phrases that you can use in daily conversations, whether you're talking to a colleague, making new friends, or traveling abroad. These phrases aren't complicated. In fact, they're beautifully simple. But when you use them naturally, they can completely transform the way you sound. Think of it like this: speaking English naturally is a bit like learning a song. You don't memorize every single note mechanically. You listen, you repeat, you get the rhythm right, and eventually, it becomes part of you. That's exactly how I want you to approach English, not as a list of rules, but as a rhythm, a flow, a way to connect. By the end of this video, you'll have a few new expressions you can start using right away, and you'll see how much more relaxed and natural your conversations can feel. So, grab a notebook, maybe even start your own phrasebook, and let's get started together. And remember, the goal isn't just to learn English. The goal is to live in English, to think, laugh, and express yourself naturally. Alright, so now that we've talked about speaking English naturally and what that really means, let's dive into some practical examples from my personal English phrasebook. These are expressions that native speakers use all the time, in daily conversations, on social media, at work, or just hanging out with friends. They might sound simple, but trust me, when you use them naturally, they completely change the way you sound. Let's start with something super common, greetings. Most learners start conversations with, hello, or, how are you? Which is totally fine, but native speakers often use more casual versions depending on the situation. Instead of saying, hello, how are you? You could say, hey, how's it going? What's up? How've you been? Good to see you again. See how these sound warmer and more natural? They make you sound friendly right away. If someone asks, how's it going? You can reply with something like, pretty good, thanks for asking. Not bad. Just busy with work. Can't complain. These responses show personality. You're not just repeating what's in a textbook, you're actually connecting. Now, let's talk about agreeing with someone. Many English learners say just, yes, or, I agree, but native speakers have lots of fun ways to express agreement. Try saying, exactly. That's so true. You took the words right out of my mouth. Couldn't agree more. That's a good point. For example, imagine your friend says, I think learning English is easier when you watch movies. Instead of saying, yes, try saying, exactly. You can pick up so many natural phrases that way. Doesn't that sound more real? Now, let's look at disagreeing politely, because it's an important skill too. You don't always want to say, no, you're wrong. Instead, you can say something like, I see what you mean, but that's an interesting point, though I think. I'm not so sure about that. Maybe, but have you thought about? These phrases soften your response and make your English sound more mature and respectful, just like in real conversations. Next, let's talk about those little expressions that make your English sound alive. Native speakers use these all the time to show emotion, surprise, or interest. Phrases like, no way, when you're surprised, seriously, when you can't believe something. That's awesome. When something is great. You're kidding. When you're shocked or amused. Good for you. To encourage or congratulate someone. For example, friend, I just got a new job. You, that's awesome. Congrats. Friend, I met Taylor Swift once. You, no way. Seriously. These small reactions make your conversations feel fun, friendly, and genuine, just like how native speakers chat. Now, let's talk about making plans or casual invitations. Instead of saying, would you like to go out? Which sounds a bit formal, try something like, wanna grab a coffee? Let's catch up soon. How about lunch tomorrow? You free this weekend? And when someone invites you, instead of just saying, okay, or, yes, you can say, sure, sounds great, I'd love to. Count me in. I'm down. Very casual and friendly. Here's a quick example. Friend, wanna hang out after work? You, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. That's how you sound like a real, confident speaker who's comfortable using natural English. Another big part of speaking naturally is using filler phrases, those little expressions that give you time to think. Native speakers use them all the time, and they make your speech sound smoother. Try adding phrases like, you know, I mean, well, actually, let me think. For example, I mean, it's not easy, but it's totally worth it. Well, I'm not sure, but I think it depends. You know, I've always wanted to visit London. See, these fillers give your sentences a natural rhythm, just like native speakers. Finally, let's not forget closing a conversation politely. Many learners end a chat too abruptly, like just saying, goodbye. But you can make it sound more friendly with, anyway, I've got to run, but it was great talking to you. Let's talk again soon. Take care. Catch you later. Have a good one. For example, anyway, I should get going. Catch you later. That's something you'd hear every day in real English conversations. The secret to mastering these phrases isn't just memorizing them, it's using them in real life. Start small. Pick 2 or 3 expressions from today's lesson and use them the next time you speak English, with a friend, a teacher, or even with yourself in front of the mirror. The more you use them, the more natural they'll feel. Remember, it's not about sounding perfect, it's about sounding real. Every time you try, you're one step closer to speaking English naturally and confidently. So, practice, have fun, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how you learn.